Hey guys, Mechanite here, and welcome to today's video of Ben 10 characters and Marvel characters combined. I'm going to give you the same disclaimer I did in my Pokemon Zombies episode, which is that this episode focuses a lot more on the lore of my original world and stories than it actually does on the topic of this video, though I really like how the drawings came out, and I've actually kinda done this before, because I did Ben 10X Spider-Man, but I think this is a lot better. Anyway, let's just get into it.
So, what's this world again? Why have we been sent to study it?
This world is one which is filled to the brim with superhero, supervillains, and vast alien civilizations. As for why we've been sent to study it, that is because this world recently recovered from a mass reality warp that occurred around 5 years ago, one that was even powerful enough to trick us into believing this world was becoming a void dimension.
Hold on, what's a void dimension? I don't think I've heard of that before.
Well, you see, a void dimension is a dimension that, for whatever reason, all matter and energy has disappeared from. These dimensions essentially act as prison cells, with no beings able to go in or out.
What could have happened to this world that was bad enough to make the DUSD believe it was becoming void?
Well, that was the work of a supervillain from this world, an alien known as Thanagor. Thanagor was born with a physical deformity, though that wouldn't matter, as his whole planet would soon be wiped out by poverty, with him being the last survivor. He then began trying to absorb the powers of the 5 Andromeda Gems, trying to prevent any other species from befalling the same fate his had by becoming godlike, wiping out half of all life in the universe and ruling over the rest with an iron fist. Despite being fought off by the heroes of this dimension, he eventually succeeded in wiping out half of all life, that being the event that drew us to this dimension in the first place.
So, what powers did this guy actually have? What powers did the gems give him?
Thanagor's species were able to absorb DNA and energy to empower themselves, as well as having enhanced strength. As for the gems, each had a specific domain: water, earth, air, electricity, and nuclear. Combined, they could warp reality itself.
Hey guys, Mechanite here, popping in this episode to do some design notes, and as for this drawing, I do like it a fair bit, but oddly enough it just doesn't seem as intimidating as I wanted. I got the idea to do a Thanos and Agrigor fusion, like, as soon as I thought of this video. Well, that's a bit of a lie. Originally, I was going to do a Thanos and Vilgax fusion, but I thought the idea of, Agrigor collecting the Andromeda 5, Thanos collecting the Infinity Gems, or stones, or whatever you want to call them, just made them fit better together. And I'll be completely honest, the only reason I wanted to do a Thanos thing for this video, like a Thanos fusion, was because I was not, planning this video as in, I really want to make some Ben 10X Marvel art. It was that I really want to make the one lore drop episode for the DUSD. So, as I said in the intro, going to be focused a lot more on, the lore of the DUSD and my original universe. But I really like how it came out, and I think I kind of strike that balance of giving enough lore about what I'm actually adapting, as well as lore about, what I should actually be making lore about. As for what I was talking about with this drawing not feeling intimidating enough, it's just that I feel like Agrigor and Thanos are both super powerful characters, but this one just, like I said, don't look that intimidating. I tried to combine Thanos' gold armor with Agrigor's weird jacket thing. It just didn't end up working, and oddly enough, the more I look at it, the more it actually looks like Jubilee from, well, I guess it's fitting because they got added to Marvel Rivals recently. But it just kind of undermines their intimidation factor. Not that I dislike this drawing, I really like it as well as all the other drawings in this episode, but not one of my favourites. Anyway, we're on to probably my favourite drawing of the episode next up.
what about the heroes of this world? What were they like?
Well, we really should get back to studying Thanagor's effect on this world, but I suppose we have time for a quick tangent. You see, one of the heroes who fought against Thanagor was named Captain 10, though his real name was Ben Rogers. Ben was a scrawny teenager around the time of World War II, who desperately wanted to fight for his country, but couldn't due to physical weakness, as well as being plagued with medical conditions. While on a road trip with his grandpa Max, however, he would find an odd alien device and decide to take it to the military, allowing them to use it on one condition. He got whatever weapon they made from it and was admitted into the army wielding it. The army accepted and constructed the device into a shield, which they called the Omni Shield. This weapon would transform anybody wielding it into their peak physical form and could even transform itself using alien DNA, lighting on fire, coating in diamond, etc. Ben wielded this weapon and went out into the army, eager to defend his country.
So, how'd he end up fighting a space warlord with reality warping powers? Seems like a pretty big leap to me.
Well, when the war was over, he became a superhero. Thanagor was just another fight to be had.
As I said before, I think this is probably my favourite drawing of the episode, but it's really close. I really like the next drawing and the drawing after that. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm just slandering my previous drawing by saying I like all the other ones better. And I mean, I do, but I really like how that drawing turned out as well. Overall, I'm super happy with this video. And the reason I think this is my favourite is because of the pose. I really like the pose in general. Even if it's a bit simple, I just think it's really good, works with the character. I think this one's like one of the few ones in this episode that leans more into the side of the Marvel character than it does the Ben 10 one. I mean, I feel like the last one kind of did that as well, but as for the next two, they lean more into the Ben 10 side. And I think it ends up turning out pretty cool. And as for the design of this, I really like the costume design. It was a bit hard to totally work out the details of, but I think it turned out pretty cool. And as for the lore, the idea of having the shield turn the user into its peak form like the Omnitrix does to its aliens was... I think that's like my favourite idea for one of these fusions that I've come up with for this episode.
Wait, going back to what you said earlier about void dimensions, why were the DUSD looking for them anyway?
Well, it's a part of the multiverse, kid. Of course we would research it. Besides, we keep tabs on all void dimensions so we can know if there are any exogods in them.
Wait, hold on, back up like 10 steps. What's an exogod?
Well, strap in. We're getting to the complicated stuff now, kid. Exogods are physical embodiments of concepts, becoming more powerful the more prevalent that concept is throughout the multiverse. For example, the exogod of death isn't like the Greek god Thanatos, a god with rule over death. They are death, the concept of death embodied in a physical form. They exist in exospace, a realm outside of the multiverse. Whenever an exogod becomes overly malicious or violent, they are locked up, trapped within void dimensions to keep them out of the multiverse.
Oh god, this is all so weird, but I thought you said nobody could get in or out of a void dimension.
Well, no regular life can. While most of them can't, the most powerful exogods are able to transport between void dimensions. So are we DUSD agents, though you must never do so, as it is forbidden to do as such. Returning to this dimension, however, one of the main villains that Captain 10 had to fight during his time at the army was named Skullgax. They were an alien warlord who arrived on Earth seeking to conquer it. When he discovered the Nazi Party, however, he found himself aligned with their ideals, deciding to work under them as Hitler's right hand.
Now, I know we didn't really get any story for this drawing. That whole section was kind of just DUSD lore that I really wanted to get out. And I hope you guys like it, because I'm really enjoying building up the world of this multiverse. And I'm gonna have some original stories coming out soon, I promise. I mean, I kind of did that with Kaijun. Not really, but I promise I'm gonna have some actual original stories coming out soon for you guys to check out. But ignoring that, I'm moving on to this drawing. I really like it. It isn't actually... The drawings aren't in order in this episode. This is actually the last one I drew. And I was having trouble with the background. I don't know why, but the pose maybe kind of made it a problem. So I decided to go with a bit of like a graphic design background. And I really like how it turned out. I have the character's name. I just have this block of colour behind him. I think it really helps them stand out. As well as like the gas mask on their face, or the ventilator, whatever you want to call the thing that Vilgax has. I gave it to this guy as well. And the green tubes coming off that is obviously the highest point of contrast on the image. It being like green against red, two contrasting colours. Whereas the rest of the drawings, basically all red and grey, like it's very dark colours, very similar. I think that really helps it just stand out. And I imagine that guy being absolutely like terrifying. Like, almost absolute Batman levels of, like, terrifying villain. Because I imagine, like, obviously, Captain 10 would not be, like, short or anything. They would be, like, peak human physical form. They'd be quite tall. But I imagine just, like, Skullgax towering over them, looking like some kind of eldritch entity or something. Anyway, we're reaching the end of this drawing. I really like how it turned out. It's in contention for my favourite of the episode. Maybe not quite there just yet, but anyway, let's go on to the last drawing of the episode.
Villains weren't the only thing Ben would come across during his time as a superhero, however. A few years after the war had ended, Ben met a fellow superhero by the name of Kevin Warlock.
And what were his abilities?
Geez, kid, are you ever gonna read the mission logs I send out?
Oh, I didn't realise that was you that did those. Sorry, I guess I should, it's just...
I'm just messing with you, kid. No need to get all panicky. You see, Kevin Warlock was another member of Thanagar's species. One who had been genetically engineered since birth to be the perfect soldier, made to protect the planet from extraterrestrial threats. During his planet's destruction, his kind sent him out into space in order to save him. He eventually crash-landed on Earth and became a pickpocket in order to survive. When the government caught wind of his immense power, however, they sent Captain 10 to detain and interrogate him. After a long brawl, they eventually realised that they were both fighting for good. So, Captain 10 allowed Kevin Warlock to stay on Earth for the time being, as well as making the government agree not to try and capture him. In the future, they'd even end up working alongside each other as well. Such was the case when they were facing Thanagar.
I'm assuming since they were the same species, he had the same energy and DNA absorption as Thanagar?
Sure did, as well as flight, strength, speed, and space survivability gifted to him by his experiments.
Now, this may strike some of you as a bit of a weird fusion, and that's because it absolutely is. You know, I knew that I didn't want to just do Ben and then 3 villains for this episode. I wanted at least one other hero character. So, I mean, I guess similar to my Ben 10X Spider-Man video, I decided to do one with Kevin. And Kevin X Adam Warlock is a very weird fusion, but I knew if I wanted to do one with Kevin, I wanted to do an alien Marvel superhero. And I looked for a few options. I thought about, like, one of the Guardians of the Galaxy members, maybe Silver Surfer, but if I did them, then I'd have to come up with a fusion for Galactus, and I couldn't really think of a good one for them. I don't know. If you can think of a good Marvel fusion to... Oh, sorry, good Ben 10 character to fuse Galactus with, leave it in the comments. And since this was actually the first drawing I did, I tried to add these, like, tech lines, if that makes sense, like the overcomplicated techy details you find on MCU suits. But, I mean, it kind of ends up coming across a bit silly, because it's basically tech lines on regular clothes, since it's kind of just Kevin's regular outfit. Overall, I like it. Not my favourite of the episode, but up there, and I really like how all of the drawings in this episode turned out. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed as well, and I'll see you in the next episode.